Welcome to the Empowered to Teach with AI conference. This session is Spice Up Your Creativity with the Power of Gen AI and Adobe Creative Cloud. In this session, I plan to show you some innovative tips, tricks, and hacks to help boost your productivity and expand and enhance your creativity and spice up your projects as I showcase the powerful features of the Adobe Creative Cloud. Now, when we think about learning, it's more than just delivering information. It's about creating engaging experiences. And that requires a mix of multimedia elements like text, images, graphics, illustrations, animation, video, audio, and interactivity. So it only makes sense that we use all the creative applications of the Adobe Creative Cloud. It's such a powerful tool set and designed to handle all these elements seamlessly. Hi, I'm Mark. I have over 20 years of experience in digital media, working with renowned organizations like Adobe, McGraw-Hill, Jostens Learning, Sony Online, and the NBC Agency. I'm currently the principal and sole proprietor of headTrix Inc. I create projects in graphic design, e-learning, character design and animation, illustration, motion graphics, video ads, video editing, stop motion animation, animated GIFs, web, social media, tons of content creation. I'm an Adobe certified instructor and an Adobe certified professional. I've taught at the University of California, the Art Institute, Platt College, Learning Tree, Productivity Point International, and Adobe authorized training centers throughout the country, as well as corporate training for Fox Studios, Universal Music, Warner Brothers, Disney, the NFL, the US Army, Intuit, and many, many more. I've also been a speaker at multiple Adobe e-learning summits, Adobe e-learning World, and a guest expert speaker on the Adobe Exchange, Adobe Tech Tuesdays, as well as a teaching assistant for Adobe Max. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions or need any further assistance. I'm here to help. So let's get started with Spice Up Your Creativity with the Power of Gen AI and Adobe Creative Cloud. Okay, so here's our agenda for today. And let's jump in. Our first stop is Adobe Firefly, where we can effortlessly create visual creation with Gen AI. So Adobe Firefly is an all-in-one, online, free-for-all, in the browser, Gen AI application. It's kind of like the testing playground for Adobe. It's where they introduce new things that are coming up with Gen AI. For instance, you'll see coming soon is Generate Video, and new is Generative Expand. A lot of these things are practice here, and then they push them inside of the other applications. You'll see here Creative Vector is an Illustrator, Recolor is an Illustrator, Text Effects in Adobe Express, and there's also Generative Fill and Generative Expand, as we'll see later, inside of Adobe Photoshop. So I'm going to go over here to Text to Image. Now I can click here, Text to Image, or you might have seen the prompt right up here. I can click right there and type in the prompt that I would like, or I could actually get some inspiration from the community below. I can click on any one of these images, and then of course, just take this image and just transfer it to my creation. So for instance, this one here is of a mammoth, and I could just change that to a frog and go ahead and try that prompt and create my new image. I'm going to go to Text to Image here, straight down here, and we'll type in our own prompt. Crowd of people at an e-learning conference. Okay, there we go. So I have a crowd of people at an e-learning conference, but you know, it's not really exactly what I was looking for. And I could go in there and change the prompts, or what I could decide to do is maybe upload a reference image to kind of show them the idea that I'm looking for, which is kind of like a front-facing crowd. Maybe people sitting there looking at me with laptops. So I'm going to upload a reference image here. And my reference image is from another previous learning conference, but you know, it's very small in file size, and maybe it's a stock image. So I don't really want to steal that, right? Or pay for it. So I'm just going to upload that. And I'm also thinking that maybe instead of a photo, I would like some kind of like illustration or art kind of look to it. And I can scroll down here and decide on a reference style. I can browse the gallery to kind of choose a certain style. I kind of like this girl. It's like almost like a cutout, if you will. And I want to go back. I like that style. And then maybe I can come down to some effects and choose either, let's say, either hyper realistic, or let's go with layered paper. And then I'll click on Generate. So you'll see I'm kind of aiding the AI in focusing on what I want to get. I could also choose color and tone, lighting, the camera angle, and of course, if I scroll up to the top, I can also choose if I want the aspect ratio to be landscape, portrait, widescreen, or square. So pretty good. Now you see that my reference image, which was an image of people facing the front of the class, and now I'm getting more towards what I'm looking for. So I kind of like this image here. It's kind of cute. And of course, we could waste more time, but I'll just click. And if I want, I could just download that right to my desktop. Boom, easy. What I could also do is come over here to this little icon. And if I click on this little icon, I have a bunch of different options. I can copy the image and maybe bring it into Photoshop, or I can copy a link to the image to share in an email, or I can open this inside of Adobe Express. So let's spice up your creativity with Adobe Express with presentations, characters, and AI designs. So if I click on this here, I will open up into Adobe Express. Adobe Express is Adobe's one-stop creativity for all application. So we have different applications in the Creative Cloud like Illustrator for illustrations, Premiere for video, Photoshop for images, animation, animated GIFs. And then we have Firefly for AI, Character Animator for characters. And Adobe Express is kind of like an express mobile and web-based app for everybody to create, starting from templates. So right up here, of course, I can take my image and I can remove the background if I wanted to, using AI, instantly removing that background. Boom. And now I have a different image that I could put on my own little background, or use as clip art, or of course I could add a new background to it here just by scaling this up and placing it one layer behind. So pretty nice. I could also go ahead and add text or new media, animate this, you name it. But I want to go over to the top here, this main home page. You'll see here I can get started with templates, design assets, and more. I have so many things to choose from. But we know that every single learning application starts with some sort of presentation. Some usually in PowerPoint, right? Maybe it's possibly just our text. Sometimes it's in a Google Doc. Sometimes it's in a Word doc. But I'm going to show you how we can use these presentations, multi-page, pre-designed presentations inside of Adobe Express right here. And if I click over here to browse my templates, you'll see I have thousands of results. I'm going to click on the filter, and I'm going to choose on the price. We're going to go for free. I like the price of free. And then maybe under type, I'm going to choose multi-pages. So I have documents with multi-page. So not only can I quickly create a slide deck or a presentation or some kind of even idea to give to my developer, but I can actually develop full-on screens and use these for my design. So I could just scroll through. You'll see that this shows me 1 of 14, 1 of 14. So this has 6 pages. This is the template that I've actually currently used, you can see, for Adobe Express. And there's a whole bunch of templates here we can kind of use that are free. And I could also, instead of clicking on them, I could just kind of hold my mouse over them and it'll kind of flip through the different screens so I can get an idea of what the design looks like inside of all of these. I can also go down and click over here for maybe onboarding, and maybe see this employee onboarding is one of the templates, has 1 of 5 screens. I mean, even just that, very well designed, looks beautiful. Then we have a second screen, title screens, sub screens. I mean, what a head start this is. Huge time saver. Pretty easy for me to click on and edit or duplicate the pages. And of course, I can use this and export these as a template. So I could just kind of maybe get rid of the text here, or click on this and maybe get rid of the text, but keep the design in the background, right? I could even swap out and replace the images myself, no problem. I can even click over here to animate. Under animation, I can actually bungee these in, just have them kind of jumping into the page. And of course, I could add the timing if I wanted to. Over here, I could edit my timeline, and I could easily click on each one and have it come in at a different time. So maybe I'll have that one come in a later, and then I'll have her come in even a little later. And then let's say he comes in first, right? So I'll rewind this, and so we have a little bit of flavor. I can even click on this one, go to animation, and have maybe this one drift in from the side. I could have it drift in from the left side, starting outside the page, fading in and coming in loud. Boom. And I could also speed up the duration of when and how long it takes to come in. So if I want a static page, I could easily click over here to export this as a PNG or a JPEG, right? I could just do the selected pages and export that as a template. Or if I'm animating the page, I can actually export this as an MP4. I'm going to go back to the home page here, and under the home page, I have something called Your Stuff, where I've kind of went through myself and organized a bunch of e-learning templates that I liked just briefly, quickly, something like this, you'll see just a nice design, right? I can just swap out the picture. I could delete the text, and instantly we have these page designs, right? And it's pretty easy to change, right? I can click on the background here. If I show my layers, you'll see that everything is in a layer. So I can easily go to the background color and change that, no problem, right? To upgrade and make this mine, right? Or change my colors, totally changing the look and feel, right? But still, starting from scratch is a lot of work. This is just so helpful. It's like having a designer right there at my fingertips. So if I go back to my home page and, oops, my stuff, I can go over here to, again, to e-learning projects. And I have this one called Classroom Rules. What if I spice this up? Like, wouldn't it sound better if I was to get an AI voice and add some audio? So I'll do that. I'll upload some audio from my device. So I'm going to go over to my folder here. I'll go to Adobe Express, and I'm just going to import this "Hi guys" text. Okay, and we have this new slide now.
Hi guys, welcome to our classroom rules from our teacher, Miss Brown.
Great. So already spicing things up, making it a little bit more engaging. But I can even go one step further. If I go to the home page here, under video, I can scroll down, or I go to the top, click on video, and I have this thing called Animate Characters. And in Animate Characters, I can click on a character of my choice. You'll see there's tons of characters to choose from here. I'm going to actually focus to make it a little bit easier. I want a young person for this e-learning template. And Betty looks kind of cute, so I'm going to grab Betty. You see I can actually scale her down or scale her up. And I can choose a background of her, the shade of the scene. But I'm actually going to go ahead with this transparent background. That way I can take Betty and place her maybe into my e-learning presentation. I can click over here and record my own voice, and then it would animate it. But to save some time, I'm going to stop doing that. And another option is to browse and choose some audio. Okay, so here's one called Rules Are Very Important. I can click on Open. And to save us some time, I already have this character here in my stuff. So I'm going to go to My Stuff. And you'll see here is the character. When it's finished, it automatically takes the audio and animates the character.
Very important in the class. With the rules, we want our class to be fair and a happy place. So these are our simple and important rules to be followed during our classes.
So then I can just come in here, because it's a transparent background, and right click and just copy, a simple copy, or Control C. I can go back to my hub, back to my stuff, and into my e-learning templates, and open up this classroom rules. And then I can just come to this other slide and just paste her in, maybe add a little animation. And
rules are very important in the class. With the rules, we want our class to be fair and a happy place. So these are our simple and important rules to be followed during our classes.
Pretty easy with Adobe Character Animator. Next up, spice up your creativity with Adobe Stock. Here we're going to discover free, high-quality assets that we can use for our presentation. Every presentation needs images, so we always have to search for images and pay for images. Not anymore. Here, of course, Adobe Stock does have tons of assets for us, from photos, illustrations, vectors, videos, audio, templates, you name it. But we also have a free section. Isn't that nice? Free stock assets. So we can scroll down and see tons of different assets, from footage to images to cool art, MoGarts, which is motion graphics templates that we can use inside of our videos. Or, of course, we can do a search. Let's say we're looking for people in an office for free. Okay, and then I have a whole bunch of images that show up. If I like something, I could say find similar. It could show me similar-ish images towards this one, right? Other like-minded images, and I can choose which ones I like. If I like something, I can click the license. You'll see it's free, so I can just license that. And when I license it, you'll see it gets quickly downloaded and it gets saved to my library. What's the library, you ask? Well, yeah, you can also, if I like an image, I can also click on this little heart and save it to my library. This little heart, boom, saved to my library. This little heart, I mean, it couldn't be any quicker, could it? What's happening when it saves to my library? Well, that's next, when we talk about Adobe CC Libraries, standing for Creative Cloud Libraries. Here we can easily store and manage your assets using cloud libraries. What are cloud libraries? It's putting all of these assets inside of the cloud. So if I go in to Adobe Photoshop and go under Window, Libraries, all those images that I just downloaded get pushed into my default library, which is called My Library. And here are some of the images that I just downloaded. I have all these images right here, easily accessible. And if I go over to Adobe Premiere and I go to Window, Libraries, but I have those exact same images easily to drag them in to use for my presentation. Right, whatever images I need, I can just click on and add to my project. And then once they're in my project, I can actually just drag them to the timeline and boom, I'm using those images, no problem. Also, if I go into Adobe Illustrator, same thing. Under Window, Libraries, I'll have access to those exact same libraries, assuming that I go to my personal library, there's those exact same images. As you can see, I could also save colors, I can put graphics, videos, you name it. Just a great way to store my assets and easily retrieve them. I could also click on this little hamburger menu and I can invite people to this, or I can export the things in my library, or I could even get a link to share the assets in my library. Next up, spice up your creativity with Adobe Photoshop.
Here we have images, tips, and Gen AI tricks. So we always know that after downloading all these assets or putting them all in our library, we have to then, of course, open them all up and somehow get them inside of one Photoshop file. I have an easy trick for it. Here's an easy way to get all the images that you download and use on your desktop into one layered Photoshop file that you can then either crop, color correct, or share with your designer. So I'm just gonna go to File, and under File, there's something called Scripts. And there's a pre-written script that would load files into one stack, meaning one layered Photoshop file with just one click. Here, load files in the stack. I can click on all the open files from the library, and boom, they've all been put now into one layered Photoshop file. You'll see all the images are in one file. Nice and easy. I'll do that again a different way. So I'm going to close all the open images. That's one way to do it. Or I can just go to File, Scripts right from the get-go and load files into stack. This time I'm going to browse. Instead of going Files, I'm going to choose maybe a folder. Let's say I organized all my stuff, but I didn't. So I'm going to click on Browse, and I can browse to my downloads. And I can click on all those images that I just quickly downloaded, and boom, press Open, and that's it. In one click, they're all now inside of one layered Photoshop file. Pretty cool. I can just do a File Save As and maybe save this to my computer, maybe on the desktop, putting it into a new folder, and I'll press Create and I'll save that PSD. So now I have this PSD with all my images easily all together in one file. Now you'll notice that each layer is named. I can change the names, but as long as I have this JPG, which stands for JPEG extension, or of course, if I have a transparent background here, I want this image on a transparent background that big, I could actually also change this to a PNG. So I'm just going to shorten this name and do .png. So that just changes the name of the layer. However, if we were to take this file and go to Automate and come down to Generator Plugins, there's something called Image Assets. File, Automate, Generator Plugins, Image Assets. And if I just click that, nothing really happens, except for if I go back to File, Automate, Generator Plugins, I'll see now there's a check mark next to Image Assets, which means that right now, if I save my file, File Save, just like that, bam! All my images just got exported and saved. So remember, we have that new library called ALS that I saved my PSD to. There it is. And inside of that, boom, all of my images just got exported and optimized. So they're ready for my project. They're ready for my web. And yes, they're all sized to fit. Pretty neat. Next up, Adobe Photoshop. Remember how we had Firefly? Well, Firefly is also inside of Photoshop. So let's say, you know what? Oh my gosh, I don't really want a square. My presentation is long and I would love to use this as a full screen image. Not a problem. I can go to the crop tool. Now, usually the crop tool, right? I crop an image. I make it smaller and I crop, but I'm going to Command Z. What I could also do with the crop tool is expands my canvas, and the default would just be adding extra space. But what I'm going to do is go to my crop tool, and instead of the background, I'm going to go to Generative Expand. Now, when I increase the crop size of my image, and press OK, I can generate what I want or just let Gen AI do the work for me, filling in the gaps and expanding my image. Let's see what happens. Pretty damn good. Okay, it's not perfect. This face is a little bit, but we can also click through. That one's not bad. That one's pretty good. That's maybe the best. This is not the best in the background, but it's something we can work with. Pretty neat. One more thing. Okay, so inside of Photoshop, I have this layer, and if I double click, you'll see I have an ad. Let's say I have an ad. I just stole it from the web, and I kind of like it, but it's not really perfect, and obviously there's a problem with this ad. There's a mail promo inside that says shop now. Well, all right. And of course, we can't see his face, or can we? What if I just took this and just scaled it up using generative expand and pressed enter? Just let AI do the work and fill in the gaps, expanding this random image for me. All right, that's a little bit weird. How about the next one? Oh, that's a little weird too. That's not bad, okay? Looks good enough for me. Of course, we can generate again, but we don't have time today, so we won't. One more time, I'm gonna expand this image to the left. What does his other arm look like? Can we fill that in? Because I need a picture of a guy with his two arms. Boom, looks great. All right, the only problem is now is that it looks like this is an offer from somebody else. What if I just selected this like that, and I press the shift key to also select this shop now. And again, I'll go to generate fill. I'll leave it blank and just press generate and let Photoshop do the work for me. Again, I could have clicked through to see the different arms that they gave me, but I like that muscular arm. Pretty good. We'll click through. That looks not bad. Pretty good. Okay, and again, I can do it again, but looks pretty good. All right, next, what if I was to minimize this and go to the crop tool and scale this down a bit, adding in his legs? So I took an image from the web that I liked and totally expanded it and made it my own. I mean, I could go as far as even like putting pants on this guy. I'll just be simple now, put Jennifer Pill, I'll put pants, and let's see what they do. All right, that wasn't exactly pants. How about that? Oh, there was a pants. They're wet pants, but I mean, he's in the water. That makes sense. But he looks good. Let's put a suit and tie on this guy. All right, what if we wanted him for business, let's say? I mean, he does look good. We probably shouldn't cover his body up, but let's see what we can do. So I'm gonna press the shift key and just kind of add a little more here to give AI some room to kind of be creative, right? And I'll put suit and tie. All right, not bad. So not exactly, it's a casual suit, but it matches the seat. I mean, pretty impressive. It looks great. Next up, Adobe Illustrator, buttons, icons, and AI illustrations. Adobe Illustrator is Adobe's vector illustration program. A lot of times, it would be a pretty hard application to learn using the pen tool, but not anymore. So now I'm going to create a brand new file. And if I go under Window and come all the way down here, you'll see I have some symbol libraries. Symbols are pre-created art that we can use. So here, there's one for web buttons and bars. And if I give that a chance for it to load, it's a bunch of different buttons that I can use for my presentations, right? Just dragging them out. And they're vector, so I can resize them if they're big enough to use for my projects. And it's pretty easy to export. Just click on it, right click, and export selection. Boom. Set it up as a PNG and say export. Choose export. And now I have that vector for my project right here on my desktop. Nice and easy, nice and quick. So if I click on these arrows, there's also other things that we can use in here, right? There's some icons for a shopping cart, a lock, calculator, checkboard, right? Anything can be changed in color as well. We're inside of this, and we can click on this and change the color, okay? And make it ours. If we click on the arrows, there's also more stuff in here. There's different clip art pieces, cat. I think there's even a shirt, plants. I think there's some sushi in here, perhaps. A lot of just little creative stuff that we can use for our projects, right? Just to spice things up. Instead of paying or hiring an illustrator, we have some illustrations right here. So you get the idea. Lots of stuff that we could use for your project, all scalable because it's vector. Just little cute little things to spice things up, right? Clouds. We can make our own scene with all this. Fall's coming up. We can have a whole bunch of leaves scattered around to make a little design or have one animate down. Really nice. Okay. So next, we could also go again into my libraries And I have this little illustration here, this little kind of outline. And I'm just going to add this to my page here. And so I could right click on this, or I could go over here. It says Gen Shape Fill and click on this. On the Gen Shape Fill, I can just press generate. Again, I could tell it what to do, or just let Gen AI go to work. Now this should be coloring in my image. I start with the outline and Adobe Illustrator does the rest. And there we go. I can also click on this little gear here. You see I have different options, but I click on this little gear, and in the gear, I can kind of play around with this. So I could say here, white bird on a log with big green leaves. And then for the shape strength, if I keep it high, you'll see the shape strength keeps the exact same look and feel. But if I click on this and drag it to low, then I'm telling it that, you know what, feel free to change the lines around and be creative. Detail. I can switch this to maximum. Again, I can use a style reference, which looks like it's might be using there. And I'll click on generate. Now I'm kind of aiding Illustrator with my prompt, telling it to, feel free to make me a white bird, but you know what? Feel free to change the dimensions. So it might even turn the neck of the bird because of that slider I changed. Maybe not. Okay, so I'm going to click on this again. I'm saying don't use a reference, but now try this again. No reference image. The reference image was black and white, so I kind of kept it simple. So now I'm saying feel free to change the lines. Don't stick to what I have. And boom, big difference here. Really nice bird. I can even go ahead and click on this original right here and watch this. I could turn this into whatever I like. So again, I'm going to go to Gem Shape Fill. I go to this gear right here. And what if I said green frog on a big lily pad? Again, shape strength is low, and the maximum I'll bring to high. No style reference. I could have different effects, but I'm just going to let it go to work. So really, I could start with anything and create whatever I'd like. Pretty neat, huh? Okay, and lastly, I could use exactly the same thing here, this Gen Shape. You'll see generative vectors I have. I could generate my own vectors from scratch. So here, I'm going to say, what if I want, instead of creating a scene or a subject, I want to create an icon. And the icon is going to be a man with headphones. Keep it simple. Let's say I wanted an audio icon, right? And the detail, I don't know. How do I want the detail? Probably minimum detail, right? It's an icon. Probably keep it simple. I could even choose, if I want an icon like that, isometric, and I'll press generate. And there I go. A bunch of different icons that I could use for my presentation. Really nice. What if I wanted to do that again? And I wanted a woman with headphones, right? I'll click on this gear, and I'm going to choose this time a style reference. And the asset I'm going to choose is this guy. I want it to be referenced the same, very similar, but a girl. So now you see, by using a reference image, I can make numerous different icons that all kind of cater to the same look, feel, style, and perhaps even color. Pretty cool. Next up, Adobe Premiere, Gen AI captions and custom animation. So if I go over to Adobe Premiere, which is the Creative Cloud's video editing program, I'm just going to close this project here that I created before and open up a brand new project right there. I won't name it, but I'll say this to the desktop and I'll press create. And now I have a new project. I can click on this to import my media. And I'm just going to import what I've already created. Let's say a video that I exported for one of the characters on my slides. So I'm going to go over to Adobe Premiere and I'm going to import classroom rules here. I created that character, I imported her to the slide, and then of course, I exported that as an MP3. Now I'm just going to drag that into my sequence, and I have now
Rules are very important.
All this in Premiere. I can click on this, I can go to audio, and I can enhance the audio. I can, of course, adjust the settings, and what I like to do is increase the dynamics.
Important in the class. With the rules, we want our class to be fair and a happy place. So these are our simple and important rules to be followed during our class.
So that is nice. What I could also do is you'll see there's some spaces and gaps. If I go to text-based editing, I can edit this whole thing via text. So if we go to transcript, you'll see that as she speaks.
Rules are very important in the class. With the rules, we want our class to be fair and a happy place. So these are our...
So you see there's a big pause in the middle. What if I just clicked on that, right-clicked, I click on delete ripple. It quickly comes in here, it doesn't edit, and now it cuts that up.
We want our class...
I'll do it again in the beginning. There's a little break, delete the ripple. Here, delete the ripple. And you'll see it's editing my timeline. What if I just wrote, rules are very important. I wanted to get rid of this in the class. I didn't like that anymore. Right-click, delete.
I could just delete it. Ripple delete kind of makes it so that there's no blank space. Once it deletes, everything else falls together. So delete ripple. And now we've got
Rules are very important. With the rules, we want our class to be fair and a happy place. So these are our simple and important rules to be followed during our classes.
so easy to speed it up. Next, I can go over here to the CC and boom, in one click, create captions. That's it.
Rules are very important. With the rules, we want our class to be fair and a happy place.
What I can do is Command Z that, and I'll do it again. I'm going to do create captions from transcript, but this time I'm going to come into the caption preferences and then change it up. What if I take the maximum length in character and just scale it all the way to the left, maximum duration again all the way to the left, and I kept the lines only on a single line, and I'll press create. Now I have everything on one line
Rules are very
as one word.
With the rules, we want fair and a happy place.
I can then select them all at once, go into my captions and graphics workspace, and I can actually just change the font. I can increase the size. I could change the color, or maybe add a background color. I can increase the size of the background color, change the opacity, and maybe even move it up. And now I have.
Rules are very important. With the rules, we want our class to be fair and a happy place.
So pretty neat. I can take this one next step. Now this is more advanced, okay? So just that is good enough. But I could actually select these, and on the graphics and titles, I can now upgrade my caption to a graphic. So that takes away from the subtitles and makes it now an individual graphic, which means I could do whatever I want to this. I could actually animate it. So I can go over here, and I can't really teach you exactly how to animate, but it's using keyframes. First, click on this and just change the center point here. Change the center point so that it's centered on the graphic. Now I can put it into place right there. And now I can set position, scale, and come over here, again, position, scale. So I have no animation right now, but I want this to come up like this. I want it to start maybe minimized. So now it's going to pop up. I like that. Maybe I'll also come over here and go to the opacity, and it'll be 0 in the beginning. And then at this time, it'll be back to 100%. So it's scaling up.
Important.
All right. And we could also do easing. If I right click this, and I can go to ease in, so it has a soft landing. And I could also come over here, right click, and ease out, just to give a little bit more dynamic.
Very important.
And now once I have that, I could just copy, Command C, or right click, copy, and then just select the rest of my captions and right click and paste attributes. It's that easy. Just want to select all the things that I change, right? The motion and vector animation, boom. And now I have
the rules. We want our class to be fair and a happy place. So these are our simple and important rules to be followed.
So making it a little bit more engaging, and of having the words there, I'm kind of helping to force feed the information as well, and keeping it a little bit spicier and keeping their interest. Next up.
Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying Mark's presentation. Did you know you can create your own custom characters using Puppet Maker and Adobe Character Animator? Yep, now you know.
Now you do know. So we're going to customize characters. So with Adobe Express, we can easily and quickly create characters, but we can't really totally change them. We have these different options, and that's about it. But if I go into Adobe Character Animator and I go to File, Open Puppet Maker, I have tons of pre-created and rigged animated characters. So you'll see all these characters can be changed. Now, even this one character, you'll see as a template, if I scroll over, it shows other characters that can be created from this exact character. What do I mean by that? Well, let's just click on this girl, and you'll see if I scroll down, I can change her to a him. I could change him from a brown-haired him to a blonde-haired him. I could put a bow, make it a her again, or change it, put a hat on, or a pirate's hat, right? I can change the skin color, make him pink or green, or make him like an avatar, right? Totally changing up everything that I do on my artwork, making different characters and kind of personalizing it a little bit, changing the eye color. Maybe we'll do blue eyes, do a tan. Maybe the pink here doesn't really work that well. We'll go brown, and we'll change it to a little backwards cap. We can even change his nose. Okay, so it's not a totally custom character, but we could kind of make things how we want by changing things up. So every character has numerous options that you can play with and change. So what if I go to like this character? You'll see I have, it could be a her or a guy with a hat. And here's my character that we created. So once I pre-designed this character, which I've already done with changing the logo of his hat, right? I could change the logo for his shirt. It would be nice if you can upload a logo. That would be nice. But right now I can just change the logo of the shirt here, right? Or have nothing but a plain t-shirt, right? Changing it out. And I can go to generate. And I can just generate this character based on my preferences. It'll then open up in Character Animator. And these are pre-rigged, which means if I turn on my camera and my mic, you'll see that as I talk, this character also talks. As I shake my head back and forth, this character also shakes his head. And if I was to back up and use my hands, you'll see that I could actually even make him move and talk at the same time. I'd have to back up and kind of go away, but you'll see I can say, hi guys, hi guys. And as I do that, I can even change. I can even click on things, right? These are controlled triggers. Look out the window over here. It's really nice. This is my clubhouse. Oh, did I say hi? Hi. And these are things that I could just talk about as I'm speaking. I could just click on these and say, oh, I'm not really sure what's happening, but next thing is going to be a nice day. And I could also add voice or audio, right? I can double click and import my own audio. I'm just going to record some of my own. So I'm going to go over here to lip sync, which is on, and let's go. Hi, everybody. I hope you guys all really enjoyed my presentation. Thanks for coming, everybody. Have a great time, and don't forget to check out the clubhouse on the way out. Hope you had a great time. Don't forget the evaluations, and see you next time. Keep in touch. And now I can play this back. Hi, everybody. I hope you guys all really enjoyed my presentation. Thanks for coming, everybody. Have a great time, and don't forget to check out the clubhouse on the way out. Hope you had a great time. Don't forget the evaluations, and see you next time. Feel free to stay in touch. Take care, everybody. Cheers.